I'd like to welcome Reynold Hert as our opening speaker here this morning.
Every time that people get together like this, we can have a major shift in thinking on how we do business. And every time that we shift our thinking on how we do business, we have the opportunity to actually reduce injuries in the field. And let's talk about that. I mean, we talk about driving home safety. You can use all kinds of analogies like, hey, let's shift into a higher gear on this. But the key message is if we keep doing what we have been doing up until this moment, we can simply expect the same results that we've been getting. To change the level of results, we actually, as people and as leaders, we need to change ourselves. And that's the opportunity that you have today with the speakers, is to take it in and say, okay, how am I going to shift my thinking? How am I going to shift how I look at the world? How am I going to then take this and do something different in the future? I'm going to take you back 10 years. And I could talk oil and gas, we could talk mining, we can talk forestry. I'll use forestry, but I'll remind people that at one time oil and gas also was viewed as, remember in the papers they talked about the killing fields. That was the quote in Alberta at the time. Forestry was in the newspapers 10 years ago very significantly, and they were talking about the shameful history. 22 people a year on average, the high was 35, dying in the woods, not just in the mills. If you had the mills, it was another 5 people. And it was consistent and it was relatively predictable. On those day of mourning posters that you see that come out every year where they talk about 160 workers died on the job, in forestry, we were 1 out of 8 of those historically. Notice the word historically. Since the industry really became aware and took this on, we've gone from an average of 22 just 10 years ago to the last 5 years have averaged 8. Last year was 4. Our injury rates dropped by over 25%. But we're still not good. On average right now, 3 people a day in our industry are hurt seriously enough that they have to be off work. So we know we've got more we can do. And that's what today is about, is giving you the opportunity to think about it. Now, I mentioned people affect you, and some of the speakers that you're going to talk to today, I'm going to mention one of those in specific, Grant Awney, who is who's your last speaker before the end of the wrap-up session. He and I were having a side conversation. We'd had him do some investigations for us, and we were talking about incidents, and he said, Reynold, there's something common in all of these incidents. And when you're looking for, okay, well, how do we make a difference? How do we reduce them? My ears opened up, and I said, what is that? And he goes, they were all surprised. Why don't you think about that? His comment was, 30 seconds before it happened, if they had seen it coming, they would have done totally different things. In many cases, 3 to 5 seconds gives you all you need to stop it. They were surprised. So if you think of anything today on what you can do to make that difference, to send more people home safely, more people home without injury, say to yourself, in my operation, what can I do to prevent surprise? The best companies in the world, what do? We found 5 common things that they all do. One of them is basics done well. Every person who comes in is fully trained on what they need to know, fully checked on do they have the skills to do it, and then supported to keep doing that all the way through. And yet in investigations in the forest industry, we find at times that guys never even saw the operator's manual for the piece of equipment and therefore did not know what they were about to do, put them at personal risk and cause serious injury. At times in the forest industry, somebody will look and say, oh, the loader operator is away today. George has run something like that. Can we put him on there? And we do it. That would never happen in the best companies. Because what they've learned is, if you have surprises in your business that hurt people, you also are having surprises in your business that hurt productivity and quality, customer reliance. And they've just come to this simple thought that, if we run a surprise-free business because we really know what we're doing, we're reliable, we're predictable, we're in control, we make more money. I mean, just think about that simple concept for a minute. If you got a business that's constantly got surprises that you're having to react to, including losing valuable operators versus one that doesn't, how do you do? Engaged employees is another key characteristic. And I'm going to talk about engaged in two ways. But engaged means people always looking at what's going on and helping improve the business. But engaged also means in the moment. In the moment. High sense of risk awareness. They work on that. They actually train people on looking around and understanding what the risks are at any point in time. And the reason that they do that is they say, if you can see the risk, you're bright enough that you can also find a solution and an alternate path to mitigate things before it happens. If you see what's going to kill you 30 seconds before, you can slow the truck down. You can drop the load on the machinery and stabilize it. You can step back out of the bite, but only if you see it. And they're not talking 30 seconds before. They're talking every time you step out of the pickup truck into your operation. Take a scan, take a look. What's different today? What's going on? I had an interesting experience this past Thursday night. I went to Cirque du Soleil for the first time. Never been there before, but my wife said she'd like to go, and so we went. And I don't know how many of you have ever been there before, but it's amazing. And as I am watching this, I am sitting there. Well, two things struck me. First one was, boy, I need to get in better shape. It's amazing what the human body can do if it's actually very physically fit. But the other thing that struck me, they're like us. They're like us. This is a high-risk business. A high-risk business. And what makes them successful is they don't let surprises happen. Remember the element of surprise? It happens from a number of reasons. People don't have the basics. They don't know what they're doing, so they get surprised by something. They don't have the right tool, so it doesn't work out. Or they get surprised because their mind went off the task. And we're going to hear about that later on today and how you control that. Or sometimes they get surprised because they let their mind get off the task because of other things in their life. Your next topic up is going to be dealing with that. How do you in the workplace do what Cirque du Soleil did so clearly in their performance and keep their employees, in our case, us and our employees, mind on the task and able to pull back to the critical, risky things we do without leaving and wandering away and all of a sudden going, oh, holy crap. So I think you're going to have an interesting day. I think you're going to have the opportunity to have your minds opened up, do that shift. And I like the title. We talk about drive safety home. We're talking about really bringing it crisp and clear into focus for each of us. But everything we're talking about here today, you can take to your house, you can take to your kids, you can take to your family, and help them have a better life as well as your employees. Enjoy the day. I look forward to speaking with each of you during the day and the wrap up at the end of it. Thank you very much.